A lot of comments from the ICP community on Twitter, on our YouTube channel, as far as, hey, the price isn't moving, nothing's happening. Well, that tells me that it's about time I bring Kyle back onto the show to talk about everything happening behind the scenes with ICP. We're going to talk a little bit about caffeine. We're going to focus on AI and what are some things that are happening. And also, how could ICP and DFINITY potentially gain some, get ahead with the crypto executive order and what some of the benefits that can come to that ecosystem. So, without wasting any time, I'm joined by none other than Kyle Langham from DFINITY. Kyle, thank you as always for joining us. Hope you had a great. It's been a while, so I hope you had a great New Year. We were kind of talking about this prior to lights, camera, action, but it's like as soon as price gets stuck or consolidates, everyone thinks, oh, the team just gave up, nothing's happening, and so we love ICP, we love the community, so we wanted to give them an update on what's going on. And Kyle, I want to start with what's created a lot of buzz in the ICP community, which is Caffeine AI. There was a demo, someone recorded Dominic Williams doing a demo of what caffeine can do. So I want to play a little snippet of it, and I'd love to get into how that's coming out and some insight from you, if you don't mind. So with that being said, we can pull that video up here. It was posted on X. So here it is. So it looks like, and Kyle, feel free if you want to kind of talk over this and, kind of tell people what he's doing. Obviously, he's, putting a prompt in. But is this like is this essentially an extension or is it an actual app or, what's going on here?
Yeah, so this is what Dom is demoing here. And I guess somebody recorded it from the audience in this meeting that they're in. What that is an application. It's very similar to some Web 2 applications like D0. There's a bunch of these. Basically, what you'd call like agent to code. So they're LLMs that are specifically trained to write code for you and deploy that code to the internet. The idea is that anyone can now become a developer. You don't have to have developing skills to be able to then tell the LLM what it is that you want. So right here, Dom's giving like a case where an enterprise might have a recruiting process where you have open positions and you have candidates and you want an application to manage that for you. He just types in what he wants and it sends it. Now, this might not sound all that groundbreaking. Like I said, there's a lot of other ones, but we should dive into like what is actually truly amazing about the product that he's showing you here. That's actually makes it extremely competitive in the Web 2 space, not just the Web 3 space. So I don't know. Do you want to jump into that or?
Yeah, let's do it, dude. Yeah. I mean, again, this created a lot of buzz and, I watched this thing a couple times, but yeah, please feel free to dive in. What kind of makes this unique and different?
Yeah. So there's really two things. First of all, and it comes down to the fact that the internet computer is a unique tech stack that's different than the Web 2 tech stacks like AWS or Azure. And the complexity of deploying code is much less on ICP because your code lives with your data. You don't have to manage a database and code and a front end all together. That's all in one virtual machine. And what that allows us to do then is actually have a caffeine, like an application like Caffeine. You tell it what you want. It's going to publish that to the internet as an ICP smart contract. And in addition to that, it's going to actually allow you to have code in the back. So as your users start entering data into your application, that's going to be saved into the smart contract. That's very unique. Most code LLMs can't make it so that you can save your code on the back end.
Kyle,
and in addition to that,
I'm so sorry to cut you off, but because I'll probably forget the question, but if I can ask probably a stupid question, but what's the benefit of having that code in a smart contract versus what everyone else is doing?
Perfect. Great question. So what everyone else does still requires you to go back into the deployment environment and actually set up things. So if you're not a developer or you're not a full stack developer, you're going to struggle. You're going to have to still learn various techniques in order to connect your front end, your back end, and your database. You don't have to do that with Caffeine. You don't have to touch the code at all, which is phenomenal. And in addition to that, that data is going to be orthogonally persistent, which means that when you update your code, you're not going to lose your data. You can imagine, so in almost every other version of these kind of applications, you can only do the V0 in the sense that once you deploy your app and your users start using it, you now, and let's say you want to change some features about your app, you can't do it through the LLM anymore, because when the LLM updates your app, it's going to drop your data on caffeine. That's not going to be a problem. And so that's really the idea, is that lifecycle management of the software is going to be, universally accessible to anyone without any kind of coding skills or back end development skills.
And then what do you foresee, if we fast forward a year, 2 years, 3 years, what is it going to look like? What kind of impact is it going to have on the ICP ecosystem?
I mean, you now have an application that is appealing not just to crypto people, right? It's anyone who wants to have an application on the internet but doesn't have the skills to build it themselves. They'll be able to manage an entire software stack by themselves without ever having to touch the back end. And so, I mean, if you think that that's something that people will want to use, if you think about, like, you guys there in Vegas, maybe you want to create a small stakes at your next poker game, and you want to have an app that kind of manages the money between you guys. If that's a thing that people might want, then what each of those applications are going to be smart contracts on the internet computer. So you're talking, millions of new users, millions of new applications, burning of ICP that will have to go to pay for all of this computation on ICP. That's the vision.
Awesome. Kyle, we're seeing a lot of, the AI agent hype really like just absolutely exploded. This is like 2 months ago. This is a trend we kind of saw coming. Every time we get on we get on a video together, we always talk AI, and there's a reason for that. Trump just announced the $500 billion from, I think it was Stargate. But just the AI and AI agents, what's your thoughts on where that market is? And is that something because what I'm seeing now is some of these like platforms like CreatorBit or Virtual Protocol, they're starting to create like a framework to where these agents can go cross chain. Is there anything that you see like maybe something that's missing that maybe people can do on ICP, or maybe ICP or DFINITY is looking to kind of dip their toes in that sector?
Yeah, I mean, obviously going cross-chain is a thing that ICP is great at. And so, you see all these applications integrating into ICP. But the thing that ICP really excels at is these agents are offline or on traditional web stacks. You're starting to see a lot more people who are building LLMs and other AI agents on the internet computer as smart contracts. And so, like, a great example is AI16Z, who has one of the most popular frameworks for AI agents. They've just announced earlier this week that they've got it running as a smart contract. Their ELIZA OS running as a smart contract on ICP. Now, why people want to do that, I'm not going to speak for AI16Z. I know kind of what their plans are. They haven't been public about it. But for other applications, there's some things you get. Like, you get much more secure transactions. You don't have to host your agent in a trusted environment, because now it's on a tamper-proof blockchain. B, you get security benefits and the consensus mechanism of ICP, and then also we had a couple weeks ago the first agent called Alice that is now owned by a DAO. So a DAO actually controlling an agent. So you get kind of these really cool use cases that people are really starting to explore.
Awesome. Yeah, I didn't know about AI16Z. That's pretty big. They're one of the largest framework period in the space. And so interesting. Okay. So yesterday, Donald Trump executive order for crypto. I'm not going to get into what it was. We did a video on it yesterday. So if you're curious what's in that executive order, I'll drop the link to that video in the description of this video. But what are your thoughts, and what are the implications of the executive order, and how is DFINITY, or how could that benefit ICP, DFINITY? Does this change anything for you guys? Are you reevaluating, the business plan? What are your thoughts?
I mean, I think the narrative on X is like, hey, this executive order opens it up for people to buy my token, right? I think within DFINITY, that's not so much what we're worried about. We're always playing the long game. We're always, again, we think of ourselves as our main competitors, AWS and Microsoft Azure. And so what the executive order is really signaling is this return of innovation into the United States. We see the United States as now, where innovation is actually going to be returning to, and we have a lot of plans that we're going to be announcing in the next month or two related to the United States. In addition to that, like I was at MicroStrategy hosted a Bitcoin devs meetup last night, and you could just tell like the mood of our industry within the United States has completely 180'd. You can just see this energy, and all of that is to the benefit of building out a robust ecosystem of innovation on ICP and other blockchains. And so that's how we within DFINITY are really looking at all the moves that this current administration is making.
You know, we won't be mad if you want to share a couple of those announcements a little early.
I'll come on. I'll come on. You guys will get the first scoop.
I love it. And then I guess the one last thing, and this is more general, Kyle. You know, we saw Trump and his wife launch meme coins. It's been a lot of talk about, is this good? Is this bad? Is it drawing liquidity away? Literally everything outside of Solana really went down. And the idea was, hey, people are selling off these coins to buy Solana to buy this meme coin. What's your take on that situation? And do you think that's going to positively or negatively affect crypto, which obviously includes ICP as well?
I mean, if we think about it as blockchain, just a blockchain is a technology stack. Blockchain is useful for so many different use cases. Culture coins is one of those use cases. Let's say it's 1% of the use cases, but it gets 99% of the attention. Whether or not it extracts liquidity or not, I think I'm less interested in that. More interested in just are we seeing a lot more innovation that's coming to blockchain? And I think the clear answer to that is yes. I know everyone's focused on liquidity moving around within our own little industry bubble. I really am more interested on growing that bubble rather than who's the winner or the loser of that bubble. So
awesome. And then one last question, Kyle. What are you laser focused on in the next, I don't know, let's just say for Q1? Personally, is there one part of the ecosystem or something you're like laser focused on that you kind of want to get done?
I mean, I'm really focused starting off this year on really being a presence for ICP and DFINITY in my local area, so Maryland and the DC area. Again, that's where a lot of action has suddenly. I mean, all of a sudden, DC is like the hotbed for our industry, and so being in Maryland myself, that's a great place to be. So that's kind of where I'm focused. But I mean, again, the narratives in my mind are always come back to Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the king. You crown the king, and then AI is just where an insane amount of innovation is happening. And so I'll always be focused on those two things throughout the rest of the year.
Awesome, man. Kyle, we thank you for your time. As always, great speaking to you. And we look forward to talking to you again, brother. Take care.
Yep, my pleasure.